So today I want to talk about the 5 things that we get wrong in life. Now, these 5 things are extremely fundamental to the foundation of life, and they really do kind of bleed one into another. So if you think about building a puzzle, you always find that some people start off in a corner, or there's a starting point anyway to building a puzzle. And this is exactly what I'm going to do with these 5 things today. So the first thing I want to talk about is that people get wrong is a lot of the belief systems is that life is generated by biology itself, the physical body. And I want to tell you that it isn't. It is not. Biology, in one of my videos, I explained that the things that make up the body at the finest points have a soft electrical aspect to them. But biology itself has to have a driving force, like an engine, and that engine is the soul. Once we get to a point where the soul leaves the body, physical biology starts to break down and die. It has to have that electrical current, and without it, it can't exist. So, body does not generate life. That was number one. And number two, we're a human being. This is the conception by the general population, is that we're a human being with a soul attached. And that's really, really far from the truth. And it upsets me because the fact that a lot of gurus still talk about the soul as an attachment or an after um, effect point. Not that way at all. The soul has always been the generating factor of life itself. I remember doing talks and I brought things with me. And after talking to the crowd a bit, I told them that I brought a dead body to show them. And I brought the dead body again. And here it is. Here it is. And you can see it's lifeless. And I know it's kind of beaten up, love, but you will understand a little bit better now. So you have inanimate object. It's pretty much the same as biology as well. And something in it to animate it. And now it becomes animated. This is one of the best analogies I can think of with soul and the body. Your hand is the soul, and the glove is your body. There's been lots of statements about skin suits and skin gloves, but this one is almost perfect. So anyway, let's move on, and we'll take off our skin suit. And the third and very important factor is the belief system of today is that consciousness is created in the brain. And I think this analogy will help you understand, and then we'll elaborate on it as best as I can. If you take each one of the organs of the body, because the body has so many different organ systems, right? And so for all organs, you used apples as a reference. And each organ was a different variety of apple, right? So for the lungs, you would have Honeycrisp, and for the heart, you'd have a Spy or Jonathan or some other kind of apple. And then you put all those apples into a bushel. Now, for the brain, you would have to put an orange. So here you would have this bushel of apples with an orange sitting on top. Still fruit, but extremely, extremely, extremely different than all the other organs. And that is scientifically proven. And you can look that one up because the brain tissue is very foreign to all other biology. And there's a reason for that. And this is where the soul, the seat of the soul actually is. This is where the soul interfaces. I've got a lot of pictures that I've taken myself, and you see the orbs. And it's one of the reasons why you see the orb itself, is it just kind of fits right into the brain. I watched ghost hunter movies and seen where something comes out of its head, and sometimes it'll go in through the heart, but it still is activating in the brain because that's where all the buttons and the levers for biology are, right? So the electrical driving force to biology is through the brain via the soul. So it's the soul that is doing all the button pushing. So think of your brain as a mouse and a keyboard, right? That's the best way to really think about it, to conceptualize it for yourself, especially when you're going from a long-term belief system of brain makes consciousness, is the person, and when they die, it's all over. That's not true. That's what this channel is all about, and we're going to get there. I promise you. This is all laying the groundwork, moving towards eventually the unified theory. Because the unified theory is not going to make any sense because it's mostly scientific, unless you have the groundwork, and this is the groundwork. Okay, so what do we have? Now I got number 4. Number 4 is currently the belief system is that emotions and feelings are exactly the same thing. You have to separate them from one another and understand the actuality of each one. E dash motion, electricity sets everything in motion, is strictly generated by the soul. That's where it comes from. Non-physical. Non-physical locality is basically what it is. Feelings, which I talked about on the whiteboard, some of my other videos, you may want to dive into those if you haven't yet. I know that they were bad videos. The lighting was terrible. They were restored. But anyway, I'm trying not to get off track here. Feelings are the biological response. They're the unforgivable response to emotion. So soul expresses emotion, and then that emotion, that emotional energy or electricity runs out, and it can't help but come through biology. So we emotionalize something, and then we feel it in the physical realm in which we live through biological responses in feeling sad, feeling happy, feeling joy, anxiety. List goes on and on and on. So that's one of the most important things to really consider. And that one, that one does stem down to the fifth one, kind of blends and bleeds into the fifth one a bit. The fifth one is misconception is our connection to one another is even to somebody on the other side of the planet is, I think, is what I was kind of getting at, how that connection actually is. And if, because we're talking about biology and everything, if you think about it in a little bit of a different way, that each individual human being on this planet is one individual cell of the human race body, where the human race makes up one body called the human race. Each culture is like a different organ. You can think about it that way. right? Every organ, every culture, every individual has a job to do. And it's not a job with a boss, because that's not how it works. And one of our biggest problems currently today, which I may get into the problems of the world, but I'm not too sure I really want to go down that rabbit hole. I just don't necessarily think that you and I need to go down it together. Our connection to one another is very, very, very important. And I guess especially now, it's really important. So think about that in its proper context. Individuals represent individual cells, cultures represent individual organs of the body that is referred to, called the human race. It's the best thing you can do for yourself. And I'm telling you, once you really start and understand it, you're going to emotionalize differently. You're going to physically feel differently about a lot of things. Now, are there bad cells in the world? Are there bad people? Yes. Yes, there are. We have white blood cells. We have human beings that are white blood cells, and they have a job to do. Organization is one of the biggest things that is lacking in the world. Yeah, I promised I wouldn't go down that drain, or down that rabbit hole. Down the drain. See? There's psychological, unconscious, down the drain. Anyway, that's the 5. I got one more for you as a bonus. As a bonus. People always refer to mind. In my mind. It's been on my mind. Well, having been a writer, those 2 words, in and on, are extremely specific. I'm going to use the fridge for an example, because things are either on it or they're in it. So the concept and idea of mind to date has been one of being a place, and it's not. Mind is a process. That's the best way to put it. It is a process. It is the process of how an individual human being / soul connects the dots, right? And we hear that statement, he's out of his mind, or she's lost her mind. So it's the ability to connect dots in a proper way so that you and others can get on the same page. So mind is a process, not a place. So I want to thank you for coming, and take care of yourself and each other.